Ladies and gentlemen, we finally did it. What is it that we did? We beat the game of Elden Ring, but wait, there's way more. We beat the game and enjoyed it this time. Round of applause. The reason I actually say it like this is because the very first time I played Elden Ring, I was so torn between enjoying it and never ever wanting to play it again. What is up, everybody? I'm your average gamer, and in this video I just want to talk to you guys about my final thoughts of Elden Ring. So I had made a video the other day explaining why a lot of my point of views has changed when it comes to Elden Ring. One of the huge topics I brought up was the combat. I did not enjoy the combat thoroughly when I first started playing this game. Like I stated in my other video, I felt like so many encounters were just so frustrating that I did whatever it took to get through them. And that isn't super rewarding to me because I don't feel like I'm getting better at the game by cheesing certain enemies. This was also my first ever From Software experience, so I really didn't know what to do or what to expect, so I understand that. I'm also somebody that likes to play fast-paced action games, so coming from those to this was just different. The combat style is different, and that's why you'll always hear that reference a Souls-like type of experience. I had no idea really what that meant. When I heard Souls-like, I always thought, oh, it's too hard, I don't want to play it. That's kind of what I always thought. But what they mean by Souls-like is like, you gotta just time things, you know, there is a lot of memorization. It's very pattern-oriented, but it's also not. You know, like you'll find your own little rhythm, you'll figure things out, and then you can change the entire way that you want to play, which can feel weird at first, and then you adapt. Like there's a lot of cool things that this game offers when it comes to the combat. My biggest problem is actually what I said a little bit ago, which was I feel like there's some bosses that were just so difficult or so frustrating that I didn't care how I got through that encounter. I didn't care if I spammed the same move, used jump attacks. I didn't care if I upgraded only dex for just that one fight. I didn't care what I did as long as I got through it. Whereas in other games, you know, of course I recognize that I need to get a little bit better. I start working on certain things. Where in this game, the only thing that you need to work on to be good at is pretty much dodge timing. If you get your dodge timing down, then that's it. You know, you can work on parrying and all that other stuff as well, but I just didn't feel rewarded for doing those types of things. You know, the reason why I talk about Sekiro is because I feel like the blocking and parrying in that game was a lot more rewarding. You know, you had a little rhythm going, so you had to parry each attack, and it kind of created like this dance with your fingers. That's pretty much the best way I can describe it. Another combat problem I was having while playing Elden Ring for the first time was I had no idea what to upgrade. Like I didn't know if I should upgrade strength or dexterity, endurance, which, can we be honest? Let's be honest. Endurance has to be one of like the least important upgrades, and I had like 35 endurance as a mage, by the way, because I wanted to just keep casting my spells. This is like, you guys can laugh. You guys, you're more welcome to laugh. I didn't know. You know, here I am trying to make a build, and I'm like, oh, 30 vigor's enough. No, it's not. I don't care what you're playing on. You can be a glass cannon mage, and you might have more vigor than I did, like at endgame. And I would sit here and question, why am I being one-shot all the time? The game's ass. This is the stupidest thing ever. Now, yes, there are a lot of enemies that just do a crazy amount of damage, and they'll one-shot, two-shot you, and you can have a crazy amount of vigor. So just, you know, be aware of that. Like, don't think if you're gonna upgrade vigor to 100 that you're gonna become invincible. That's not how this works. It was just like a realization afterwards of like, oh, I'm just a moron. The reason I bring this up is because I sat here and wondered how many other people were going through the same mental abuse that I was going through while playing this game. Now, I don't think I'm the world's greatest gamer by any means. I mean, my YouTube name is Your Average Gamer, you know? But I'd like to think that with all the games that I played throughout all these years, that I've acquired some experience, pretty much. Now, while playing this game, I felt like none of that mattered. And I feel like that amplified the frustration and all of that. You know, because here I am perfecting dodge timing, parry timing, whatever timing it is, you know, in video games, because that's pretty much video games. It's all about timing. Fast forward to this game, and I felt like none of that mattered. It didn't matter how many video games I played before this, because I never played a Souls-like game. I played one Souls-like game in Sekiro, and thank God it was Sekiro, right? Because if it was any other game, I think I might have given up on From Software in general, just because of where like my mind was. I played Sekiro, fell in love with the combat, and it only made me want to just practice it more. Now there are a lot of similarities in enemies from Sekiro to this game, and I feel like that definitely helped me out. But you know, Elden Ring is just bigger. It's just, you know, Sekiro and Elden Ring are two totally different games, but since they are made by the same company, you're gonna have similarities regardless. The way I look at the game now compared to the first time I beat it, it's insane how different I feel about it as a whole. And I think the reason I enjoyed the game a lot more now than I did back then is because the first time I played this game is I went with the mindset of, oh, I'll upgrade whatever I want and still be fine. Now that can be true if you're like an insane freak and you're just like very good at dodging and doing all that, but there are specific stats that will help you more than others. As I said earlier, I had my endurance way too high. You don't even have to upgrade your endurance. That's how wild that is. Think about that. You can leave it at whatever base it is and you should be fine, because most times you're only going to do like a 2, 3, 4 attack pattern anyway. Plus you can regenerate your stamina back fast, and you know, point is, there's so many other stats in your game that will help you out more than endurance will. Before anyone starts typing down in the comments saying that this is why endurance was super useful, I understand that it can be useful. I was just using it super wrong. Now, I'm going to tell you where my thought process was. And it's really weird talking about this now, knowing how much I know about the game compared to how I was playing it back then. I only tell you guys because I find it kind of funny. So I picked the warrior tree, not knowing, by the way, that they have 2 swords right off rip. You know, I saw the sword and the shield, and I was like, bet, you know, this is nice. This is all I need. This is also kind of how I like to play. I'm more of a bow and arrow fan, but I was very well aware that you can't really play an archer in this game. You don't have to sit here and tell me your build ideas or whatever like that. I've tried some. It's just, no, it's not really it. Ironically, in Ghost of Tsushima, by far my favorite build is the archer build. You can turn into an absolute demigod. Granted, Ghost of Tsushima is like a completely different game from this. I'm getting way off topic. Okay. Anyway, I picked the warrior tree. I'm playing the game. I'm having a good time. And then I come across my first ever magic staff. And I sat there going, ooh, I want to change the entire way that I'm playing the game. And then I start upgrading endurance and intelligence and some mind and some dexterity, because that's smart when you're doing a mage build, right? Dude, I'm telling you, man, I don't know what I was thinking. But the whole endurance stuff, I was like, I want to cast as many spells as I can. I just want to spam them without having to stop. I don't want to give the enemy time to breathe. See, sometimes my thought processes can be valid. Did it work out? No. And it took me a while to realize that this isn't going to work. I need to keep upgrading my intelligence if I want to be a mage and doing damage. Because at one point I wasn't even doing a crazy amount of I was doing less damage as a mage than I was as a melee character. That's how you know you suck. The next thing I want to talk about is actually a really important topic for this game, and that is the summons, right? I've seen time after time people target the summons. Listen, motherfuckers, I didn't upgrade my fucking mind stat to not use it. Okay, I didn't sit here and find all these summons to not use them. It's like, oh, you know, it's fine if you use them, but if you use them in boss fights, you suck. Dude, listen. I don't care. Like, I don't understand why a lot of people feel like they have to go out of their way to make the game harder, and then look back at it and be like, oh, if you use summons, you're just making the game easy, and you suck. Well, dude, I'm not you. I'm not trying to sit here and stress myself out for hours. The times that, you know, a lot of these other people spent getting through encounters, I did on my first, second, third, fourth try. You know, granted, there's some encounters that probably took me longer than others. My whole point is that you know, I don't want to stress myself out, so I'm going to use whatever the game gives me. I'm already struggling because I suck, and then I'm being targeted. Not me in general. It's not like people are coming down to my comments telling me that, you know, you're bad at the game. I'm just saying as a whole, like, I see this a lot, okay, where, like, people do target. It's not just the summons, it's usually the mimic. It's usually what is targeted the most, and I understand. This is something I talked about in my last video, but one thing that I really actually enjoy is watching my mimic copy my moveset. You know, for example, like when we do the dual lightning throws, that's awesome to see us do it at the same time, or him combo a different move while I'm doing another different move. It's like, I don't know, it's visually pleasing. Another thing that actually drove me insane is the amount of people saying that, oh, this build's too overpowered, that's why you're using it. Like, first it was the mage one-shot builds, which I never personally used, so I don't know from first-hand experience, but I've seen clips, you know, and I understand the frustration. You know, here, like me, you, whoever else is struggling with this boss, and then you have Timmy, who got this build off of TikTok, and is one-shotting a boss, and he's never ever played a Souls game in his life, and he thinks he's a god. You know? So, like, I understand that part of frustration. I really do. But then there's people saying that, oh, dexterity builds are the most overpowered, that's why you're using it. Or strength builds are the most overpowered builds, that's why you're using it. Dog, what are we supposed to use? Like, what? Let me just upgrade my mind stat and my endurance like I did my very first time playing this game and be useless. Is that what you want? You want me to walk around with base attack damage and just beat the game as if I was an insane freak? No, I'm not gonna do that. You know, I've seen other people be peer pressured into doing a complete playthrough without mimics. Or not mimics, without summons. That's wild to me. It's like, could I beat the game without summons? Yes, I know for a fact that I could, but it would cause me so much internal bleeding that I wouldn't want that for myself. It would just be so frustrating, you know? Some bosses, you know, would take, dude, if I had to fight the dual gargoyles without my mimic, I'd lose my mind. I would, okay? Could I get it done? Absolutely. And I'm sure there's other people that could do it very first try. But I will not fight those guys. I will not fight any dual fight without any type of summon. I need a summon. You know, it's like, I just don't understand. I remember the very first time playing this game, okay, that I was too self-conscious to use a summon or to use any of this, because I felt like if I kept using these things, then I was just a bad player. Transition to now, you know, as I got better at the game, I realized, screw literally what everyone thinks. This is my game, my playstyle. I'm the Elden Lord, not you. You're the Elden Lord on your own game style, but this is mine. You understand? So it's like, that's the stuff that you guys have to kind of start grasping the concept of as, hey, dude, this is my video game. I'm gonna play it however I want, dude. And that's pretty much it. You know, I find it so strange that people are out there arguing about what build is more OP so you can't use it. You know? Like, I feel like a lot of that frustration, though, is because that they're struggling with a specific build, and then they see someone else, like, again, like the mage one-shot everybody, and then you walk up, and then you go to the comments, and you walk up to them, imagine you're a pussy. No. You comment down saying that, you know, this is too easy, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're being one-shot by most regular mobs because they don't have enough HP. There's a lot of give and take. Granted, it was very OP. Also, you needed to find those things. It's not like the people that got the game day one, like myself, were doing those things. I didn't even know about it until everyone else did. Time to transition into talking about something that I absolutely hated and still hate to this day about this game. And that is not knowing where to go or what to do. The very first time I played this game, there's so many times that I wanted to uninstall because I felt like I was just running with no objective in hand. Now, a lot of people would point out that, hey, you know, that's the whole point of this game, is to keep exploring. But there's so many times where I would just keep exploring, wanting to either finish a side quest or to find the next quest line in general, and not know that I had to go get a specific item, or I had to go somewhere else to go get it, or maybe I walked right past it and not knowing it. And that just built up more and more frustration. I'm also the type of person to not really look up tutorials, especially if it's my first ever time playing the game, because I want it to be, you know, my own run. I don't want to look up a tutorial to get everything through the game or whatever. You know, the very first time, whatever game I'm playing, I want it to be my story. And that's pretty much it. You know, new game plus, next time I play the game, I'll follow the tutorial, whatever it is, you know, to a T, but not the very first time that I'm playing the game. So, yes, I understand that that probably didn't help me, but at the same time, it would have ruined my experience had I looked up a guide on where to go, how to fight, what weapon to use, whatever it was. I did find and beat every single boss, although you won't see me fight every single boss in this video because I'm not fighting Melania. I'm sorry, it's not happening. I did it the first time and I'm not doing it again. That's all I'm gonna say, right? I went in there telling myself, oh, I could definitely do it. It's not too hard. Um, I'm glad I didn't make a video because I'm a super nice, calm person a lot of the times, but dog, I was raging. Like, and I got mad, like pissed. Like I was screaming and cussing and like, you know, this game fucking dog shit. Why is this made? This is fucking ass. God of War is gonna win Game of the Year for sure. Rest in peace. What a sad, sad like dilemma that was. I'm not gonna lie. Do I think this game wins Game of the Year over God of War Ragnarok? Maybe, yes. I'm not going to say it's the better game, but the hype built around the game was definitely way more substantial. I also have a lot of bias when it comes to God of War, so I'm not going to sit here and really say that anything about God of War. You know, I will always side with Kratos over anything just because, like, man, that game in 2018 changed the way I played video games. I was a multiplayer gamer only, and then I played God of War, and I was like, dog, what is this? You know what else came out that year? Spider-Man. You know what else? Red Dead 2, which is, dude, probably one of my favorite games ever made. The top 4 or 5 games that you'll always hear me talk about, which most of them are PlayStation exclusives. I'm sorry if you don't have a PlayStation, but you have Red Dead 2. That is my go-to game. If anybody asks me what game to play and you've never played Red Dead, highly recommend it. Now, again, like I said in so many other videos, the first time I played Red Dead, I hated it. The reason that I say that is because I see that among a lot of other players where, you know, it's a lot slower paced and it's a lot more story driven. And a lot of people feel like, you know, they don't like that. Or if this is my favorite thing that people have said to me, and I understand this, dude, so thoroughly. They're like, oh, I'm not a big fan of Cowboys or the Wild West. Dog, I didn't give a flying fuck about any of that. And then as soon as I played this game and beat the game, I wanted to live, not in the Wild West per se, but like in the game. I wanted to stay and live in the game. I wanted to take my soul and throw it into an AI character. That's how crazy that game is. So my 5 are Red Dead 2, God of War, Last of Us, and I mean both 1 and 2. I haven't played the remake yet, like Part 1 remake. Just because I even made a video. That $70 I felt like was crazy steep for a complete remake of a game. Like, the only things that really changed was some of the gameplay just a little bit, and then the graphics. And then same story that everyone played for the last 10 years, that I played pretty thoroughly in and out, right? And they're charging $70. Now, I don't see the $70 price tag in The Last of Us Part 1. Granted, I still might end up getting it in the future just because I'm a huge fan, and I've just been waiting for a sale. I seen it down for $50, and I was still like, meh. If it's $40, then probably I'll get it. I think that's what the price should have been. Everyone's going to have their opinions about it. You know, I made a video about it. Some people hate about the fact that I just wasn't a fan of The Last of Us. And I was like, yeah, I'm a fan of The Last of Us. I'm not a fan of paying $70 to play the same game over and over again that I've already played over and over again, you know? And then I talked about the difference between The Last of Us 2 and The Last of Us remake, and that there's still some better game mechanics in The Last of Us 2 than there is in the remake, such as going prone. I'm pretty sure there's no silenced pistols like there is in The Last of Us 2, which really does change how the combat can play out. Recommend you guys go watching my videos for The Last of Us. I played a bunch of different playthroughs, all on grounded, which is the hardest difficulty. And man, if you guys think Elden Ring is hard, give that game a try and play it on grounded. It will, bruh, it will stress you out. Anyway, I said Red Dead 2, God of War, Last of Us, and the last two would be Spider-Man and Ghost of Tsushima. Man, the Spider-Man games were definitely something different. They really were. I'm a huge comic nerd fan. Everything. I'm a geek. I'll say it proudly, right? I might not look like one, but I definitely am at heart for sure. I love comic books, and Spider-Man is he's always been my favorite, like just in general, like favorite superhero ever. I'm a very basic bitch, I'm not gonna lie. I like basic ass shit. But there's nothing wrong with that, you know? My favorite thing about the Spider-Man games is the improvement that they made in the 2 years. From the 2018 game to the 2020 Miles Spider-Man game. And a lot of people were on the fence about the price tag because, you know, they were thinking that there's no way they're gonna make a good enough game in those 2 years, that they were just trying to be money hungry. But from my point of view, definitely worth the $60. 100%. It was nothing but improvement on every single foundation from the original 2018 Spider-Man. Everything. Combat, swinging, the way that you would just talk to just people around the city, the fidelity, like how the graphics looked, the snow around the map. That was the first Spider-Man game that we're swinging around in snow, which was super cool. You know, they incorporated a lot of cool things, which is exactly why I have a hard time adjusting to that Last of Us 2, or not Last of Us 2, The Last of Us Part 1 price tag. Because at least with Spider-Man, you're getting a different story, and different combat, and different everything. Whereas in the remake, you're just paying $70 for visual improvement. And people can make the argument that the gunplay is going to change a lot of things, and that grounded would make it a lot different of an experience, and I can agree with that 100%. But I still don't see the $70. You know, maybe start the price tag off at 50 and drop it very, very slowly from there. But again, this is my opinion. You know, I'm like, you could go ahead and buy the game. I'll probably end up buying the game eventually, for sure. I want to play it. It looks cool, but I just don't want to spend $70 on a game. Especially when other people are saying that they felt like the Spider-Man game wasn't worth the $60. You know, like, it's weird how I disagree with both parts. Back on the subject of Elden Ring, this will be kind of my last topic because the way I record on my PlayStation is I'm only allowed to stop and start my audio recordings, I think 20 times. I think this is actually about to be 20. So imagine making a 30-minute long commentary, right? And you can only start and stop 20 times. It's kind of hard. So imagine talking for like 3 minutes long and making one single mistake or stuttering. That's the worst. And you're like, oh, it's not that bad. You know, I'll leave it in there, and you listen back to it. And it's like, today, Junior. You know, it's bad sometimes. And all 3 minutes, boom, erased. And then it's like, sometimes you can make a split, you know, like, say, the first minute of that clip is super nice and you keep that minute, that still counts as one, though. So now you just got rid of 2 other minutes that you now have to talk for. And they can be intimidating, let's say. Anyway, like I said, back on the subject of Elden Ring. After beating this game for the second time, I thought of something. You know, the more I think of it, of course, like, I find my own answers to it, but I'm curious to what you guys have to say or think. Why is it that every build in the game can reach 99? Like 99 everything. I find it a little strange that that's an actual thing when in the very beginning of the game you're picking a class with specific stats. Now I understand that's like base stats and that they will help you throughout the game play like a specific way. But if you're able at the end of the game where each character is able to be 99 in every stat, I feel like it makes it not as important to pick a starting character. You can pretty much pick anything and you'll be fine in at least endgame. I think that there should be a cap. You know, say a strength build, you pick a warrior or a build that has a lot of strength in it. At max, maybe have it be 80, and then say for a mage they can only reach 40 strength. At the same time, like I said, the more I sit here and talk to myself about this, the more I understand. I think that would have been ridiculous to have somebody want to be a mage and then want to switch to a strength build later on, putting hours and hours and hours into the game to not use certain weapons. So again, I understand why. I just feel like it would be a lot more, I'm not going to say complex. I think interesting would be a better word to use. A lot more interesting to see a lot of different builds where stats can only go up to a certain amount. I just think it would put a super interesting twist on the game, and that a lot of people would come up with way different build ideas because again, like, you are able, there's a lot of freedom in this game. You know, you're able to respec at any time, but at the same time when you do respec, you're going back to your base stats. But that doesn't, I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter. You know, so like for example, like say I picked the warrior tree, which I think has like the least intelligence in it, and then I could still upgrade the intelligence to like 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 70, 75, 90, 90. I could be a mage at the end if I wanted to. I just feel like it makes it so picking that tree doesn't matter now. Now, I'm not saying if you pick like the samurai guy, you have to play like a samurai. But I mean, there are a lot of bleed builds, and that's exactly what that build is. And if you could turn a mage into a bleed build, you know, I feel like it just negates some things. Now, from what I've heard, this is me speaking out of my ass, by the way, so just know that. But I heard that some builds have like passive effects where if you pick a mage that you use less mana or something. I'm not sure if that's true. So again, do not quote me on this. That's just something that I heard. Again, I don't find it to be true. It could be true. You know, in that case, and I feel like it would definitely put a twist on the game. Maybe if you pick the warrior tree, you swung a little bit faster. If you picked the Vangabond or whatever, that you were able to have way more poise in general, so you didn't get staggered more. I think that would, again, just put a very nice twist on the game.
The battle is over, I see. I do solemnly swear to every living being and every living soul. Now cometh the age of the stars. 1,000-year voyage under the wisdom of the moon. Here beginneth the chill night that encompasses all, reaching the great beyond. Into fear, doubt, and loneliness, as the path stretcheth into darkness. Well then, shall we? My fair consort eternal.